Welcome to Hall County Connection. I'm your host, Nikki Young. 2010 marks the 40th year since the creation of the Hall County Fire Department. For many of us, the existence of a fire department is like the existence of public schools. They've always been there for us and our children. We remember learning stop, drop, and roll in kindergarten, and now we see our kids learning about fire prevention with Sparky the fire dog. Today, preventing fires is as important as putting them out. But that's not always how it was in Hall County or anywhere else in the nation. In rural counties like Hall, if your house caught fire, you better get out because no one would be able to get to you in time to save your home. Now we depend on the fire department to not only save our homes, but respond to vehicle accidents, medical calls, water rescue, and even the infamous cat stuck in a tree. Hall County Fire Services has come a long way in the past 40 years. Today, we'll learn more about the history from past fire chiefs Larry Williams and Mike Satterfield. And we'll talk to current fire chief and emergency management director David Kimbrell, who is here with me now in the TV18 studio. Thank you for joining me, David.
Thanks, Nikki.
So we've got a lot of history spread out here in front of us, all these old photos. Tell me a little bit about them.
Just some old shots we've been able to keep over the years. A lot of people have carried them home with them or kept them for their own collections, but these are some photographs showing some different eras of the fire department.
Well, let's start with some of the older ones.
Okay. These are some of the older firefighters wearing turnout gear, aluminized Nomex turnout gear it was called. It worked at the time, but technology has really improved the safety of the turnout gear, so this type of gear is completely out of date nowadays. We actually have much better gear that protects our firefighters a lot better.
So this is a picture of an antique.
It is. It's an antique. Much like a picture of this antique fire truck. Basically, if you look around on the table, there are 3 generations of fire trucks. This would be a late 70s model, middle 70s model to late. This was one that we lost in the 1998 tornadoes, March 20th of 98 in North Hall. And this is one of our current fire trucks that's in service now, which is a 1999 American LaFrance. All 3 of those are good trucks, but you know, you can just see the technology and the difference in progression of equipment.
How things have changed over the years. Let's talk a little bit more about the tornadoes. I think that's probably one of the biggest incidents in recent memory that people associate with the fire department. What do you remember about it?
I remember it very well. March the 20th of 98 was a rough morning. That morning we began to get calls of accidents and trees down on Highway 53. As we began responding there, you could now, in retrospect, you can just see the progression of the tornado as it was traveling northeast. The picture I was referring to is actually our engine 2, which was coming from Quillen's Corner, that was caught up in the tornado itself on Mount Vernon Road. And the photograph shows a tree that came horizontally into the fire truck and basically stopped them dead in their tracks. So we had a lot going on that morning. A lot of people did perish in that tornado, which was very unfortunate. But you know, we learned from that and we move on. We've learned some we've received some warning devices since then. We have some outdoor warning sirens, and we also have another weather radio transmitter on Walker Mountain, which was all aftermath of the tornadoes.
And people will probably recognize the weather sirens. We test those once a month, right?
Right.
Let's talk about some of the other older photos. What else do we have here?
A lot of wrecks, pictures of wrecks. Some of those are older photographs showing, again, our ambulances, how they've progressed over the years from the van type ambulances. Here's a early 80s model ambulance that Captain Ken Crane was very proud of these trucks. He spent a lot of time taking care of these at the time, so these were something he was proud of. And also in this picture, you see the new Freightliner ambulances that we're still using. Much better trucks. We were replacing these older trucks. They would last about a year and a half. Just, you know, it was basically a big pickup truck with a super heavy box on the back of it, so it wasn't really designed. The motor wasn't designed to carry that weight. The brakes wasn't designed to stop that weight. So we would replace those about every year and a half. And the newer Freightliners, We've got some in service that have been in service for 10 years. So it was a good move up to us. It's a much more safer truck and a much more comfortable ride for the patients.
So those are built to last.
Built to last. Got some good service out of those. There's a couple of pictures of old rescue trucks. Again, this was late 70s, early models era rescue truck. I don't see a newer rescue truck picture here on the table, but those have changed. That's, again, basically an F-150 truck with 300 gallons of water on the back and a pump. So again, it wasn't designed for that. We just made it work at the time. Now we carry so much more equipment, jaws of life, airbags, so much more rescue and extrication equipment than these units were capable of carrying.
Well, things have changed so much in the last 40 years. What existed to help people in fires before the fire service?
We, relatively speaking, Hall County Fire Service in itself is very young. 40 years is not an old age for a fire department. City of Gainesville has much longer history than that. In fact, before the Hall County Fire Department, if you lived outside the city limits, your house either burned to the ground or you hoped that someone would come and help you with the old bucket brigade. In the early 60s, Jim Squires, a local businessman here, formed the Suburban Fire Department, which was a subscription service. They had 3 stations located throughout the rural parts of the county. And if you wanted fire protection on your home, you subscribed to the fire department, paid their subscription fee, and then if your home caught on fire, they would come out and extinguish it. If you didn't pay the subscription fee, you had no service.
Right.
And that worked for a while, and the citizens understood that, knew about it, but as the rural areas began to urbanize, then the Suburban Fire Department went out and the county voted a referendum in December 14th, 1970 to create the Hall County Fire Department. And the fire department was created then, very quickly went in service, took over the suburban equipment because of the bankruptcy of that organization, and went in service January the 15th, 1971 when they ran their first call.
And you talked to the first chief earlier,
I did.
didn't you?
Chief Larry Williams, a good friend of the fire service and a friend of mine, came and spoke and interviewed him. And he has a very good memory back then.
He did. He has a great memory.
He has 40-something years of active fire service. He's retired now and enjoying retirement on his farm, but very good memory of some of the history of Hall County.
And then Chief Satterfield, he's probably served the longest of any chief, right?
Chief Mike Satterfield was the longest serving chief. He served from 1983 until 2004. So a little over 21 years as fire chief. He was a firefighter here before that, so he had the longest serving active chief career.
Okay, but it was fun talking to some of those old chiefs, huh?
It was. I enjoy sitting around listening to that. And I'm a history buff. I love old pictures, and I love knowing where the fire department came from. So it was very interesting to be able to capture that. Mr. Squires passed away a couple of months ago, so we lost a lot of history there, but Chief Williams and Chief Satterfield are both very interesting to talk to and have a great recollection of history.